Hi, guys. Welcome to Wise Tips. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Eduardo. How are you?
Hey, Rachel, how are you? I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me, and I'm excited to do one more edition of the Wise Tips.
Yes, definitely. Well, it's a nice sunny day out here in California. Made even more exciting by our recent developments and our new versions we've got out now for the desktop and our mobile app version 15, which is coming out tomorrow. So that'll be really exciting. We're going to be releasing things like notifications, which are going to go hand in hand with our new version of the desktop app. So definitely make sure that if you're wanting to use the mobile app, that you're on the latest version of the desktop app. Just go ahead and create a support ticket and let us know, and we'd be happy to get you all updated and ready for the new mobile app tomorrow.
Yes, I'm so thrilled to see how things are coming along. Version 81 of the desktop probably ready. It was ready today, right? I think this morning we had it released, and I think tomorrow we should have version 15 of the mobile app. Just the notification has been really something awesome. I'm really happy about the outcome of that. It's been so many news. We are with so many stuff happening. So we're gonna have the podcast this week with Dr. Blodgett at the 4-6. I'm so excited and curious to see what Doctor has to for us. And we also have a webinar coming. People should be receiving an invitation shortly because Wise Option is now able to send also text messages. It's another request from our users. And no, there are so many things going. Our new website, it's coming out. And we are cranking out a bunch of code.
Yes, you guys definitely are. So
the webinar, for example, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Rachel. It's another way for our users to get in touch with us. So I really would like to encourage our users to participate on that webinar, because basically we want to know how we should implement the first features of the text message in our solutions, both the desktop application as well as the mobile app. So, and another thing is that if you're listening to the tips that we always have for you, I also would like to encourage you guys to send your questions and requests if you have through our discussion group or messenger on Facebook, so we can design the content of this Wise Tips towards your needs.
Yes, definitely. And speaking of that webinar as well, for any of you guys who are listening, I'll be posting that tomorrow, May 27th, Wednesday, about a date for the webinar for you guys. We'd love for you, like Eduardo said, for you guys to join in and let us know, especially with our new modifications like text messages, where that should be best used throughout the system. So stay tuned for that.
Well, let's dive in.
Sounds good. Well, Eduardo, I'll let you start. I know you've got a few things you'd really like to talk about.
Sure. Well, today I'd like to talk to our users about exceptions. Exceptions is one way that we found to give our users a handy tool to minimize the adjustments on the billing day, as well as the next target was to decrease the number of clicks. There are so many special deals in the veterinarian pricing models that we decided to come up with solutions that the program, by receiving rules, could automatically change or adjust the price for you. So the user who's actually entering the charge into the computer should not have to think about it. Just create the rules, prepare the system, tell how the exceptions should work, and you just go to the program and enter a bunch of charges, and the program should say, okay, goes to this customer, the price for this charge should be X, but if it goes to that customer, the price for the same thing should be Z. So exception is something I would encourage a lot our users to explore in the Wise Tips for killing clicks and expediting data process. Of course, and the last one, decreasing, the process during the billing days, on the billing day. Several times we've seen users use the procedure manager for pricing adjustments.
Yeah.
And I think that's a waste of time. If we think before, the actions actually take place, and we prepare the program through the exception. I just would like to show, this is not a how-to, but if we could at least show where the exception module is. So from the top menu, we just click on tasks, and then you go to task exceptions. And that's where you go. And there are some options. You just click on the plus on the bottom, and you can start creating your exceptions. And there are, different ways. Again, this is just showing you where it is, but we're going to have an e-learning. We already have an e-learnings on our e-learning library for you guys to consult. But please, this is I believe is going to become a very good friend. Would you have, Rachel, some examples of exceptions in your mind that you think are useful?
Yeah, definitely. So a couple that I've seen kind of common across the board is employee discounts is probably the most common one I've seen it used for, to make sure that to give employees, 10% discount on procedures or certain discounts on materials and goods. Exceptions are a great way to do that. Another thing, large accounts as well, to provide certain rules and exceptions on large accounts, and things especially like certain. I've seen it kind of as a commonality across different farms, like certain breeding packages. So there are certain, maybe some farms charge different board rates during breeding season. If a mare is coming in to be bred, she might be there for 3-4 weeks, whether they're doing embryo transfers or just breeding to carry. And so because of the increased board rate, they'll do things like discount palpations, or maybe even, just discount it all the way to zero. And so they'll have different tasks that need to be discounted. So a very common one I've seen across is different breeding packages as well. And again, like you said, it prevents you from at the end of the month having to go through and zero, 500 palpation charges.
Exactly. And just so the users have an idea how this module works, basically, we go into this module here, the exceptions, and we say, for example, any kind of procedures, not materials and goods. Just in this particular example, we say if the owner of the patient is an employee, which, by the way, if you tag the customer as an employee, and if a particular patient has that customer account as the owner, so wise option no, if you have that patient on your screen and you're about to enter a charge, because that patient belongs to that customer who is tagged as an employee, the system will say, okay, I have an exception for this case, and the price of this service should have X% discount, and it applies automatically. So everything of that magic happens on the backstage and the background, and it goes very smoothly. Now, my tip number 2, it's about exactly the tags. So tags, it's a very powerful way where you can, at your discretion, it's very dynamic, and you can categorize customer files and patient files. So it works exactly the same on both ends, customer files and patient files. Basically, you just select one of the patient or the customer, and right above its name, you're going to find the tags. If you click on the label link, you're going to see the list of tags, and you can improve those tags. The nice thing about the tags is that you can, instead of selecting only one tag, you can have multiple tags associated to the same customer. So when you select more than one tag, the system is going to show. As we are visual creatures and you see colors over there, those tags go throughout the system. So if you open a summary card, or if you open a hospitalization record or an invoice, those tags will show on top of the name of the customer or patient. Tags are also very handy. For example, if you're using the mobile app with your location map, and you have those shoot runners, and you can mark one of the patients as one of those fast lightnings in the pastures that's hard to catch.
Yes.
You can have that, and the tag in your location map is going to show on your mobile app. So when somebody's seeing, the tag is right there. Now, the reason I would like to talk about tag is because I'm going to connect back to the exceptions module. So, for example, if I go to one of the customers and I tag that customer as an employee, and this is the way I do it. I just open the tag, I create a tag for, as I can call employee, and I use that tag to that customer file. Then when I'm working with the exceptions module, I point to that tag, not to that customer. Therefore, all the customers who have that tag attached to the file will automatically be a candidate for that exception when adjusting the price. And all the patients that are associated to those accounts will be automatically applied as well. Exceptions and tags are very good friends. They go together in a very smooth way, but tags are so powerful that it's not even funny. So you can create, for example, aged accounts, accounts under collections, special contracts. I've seen people using the patient file. This is a shipping, this is an Imbro transfer, this is a hospital case, this is a trainer. You can use for so many things that it's very broad. And I've seen people using today, the parentheses with prefixes in front of the name. Tag is going to make the database very clean. It doesn't look very cool when you send a statement and the name is show aged or collection.
Yes.
So those things are not very good to show in the statement. So those two tips today would be those exceptions and tags.
Awesome. So mine kind of pale in comparison to yours, at least the first one does, but I still think it is equally important in keeping everyone up to date. I'm going to go over the patient file. So the first one I'm going to talk about is markings and images. Pretty much, I think everyone who opens Wise Option knows that you can save horse images in a patient file. Very common knowledge. Even, I've seen a lot of people use it also for scanning in breeding contracts, or also scanning in things like lab reports and different things that paperwork horses come in with, to keep it attached to the horse file, which is a fantastic use of that function. But also, I think sometimes it gets a little overlooked for just being able to identify horses, and having that confidence in knowing when mares come in. Mares lose tags all the time. They lose collars out in pasture. No one likes to keep halters on horses out in pasture, so you end up using leather collars. They break, they get lost. Brands become a little hard to read. So it's so important, I think, to be in part of the check-in process, to just take a quick snapshot of a horse and post it in their file, even if it's just one side of them, just to post it in their images so it's there. And then there's also under images, there's also space to put markings. And there you can put all the descriptions from each body part to the head to different brands, and any other descriptive remarks as well. And this obviously goes hand in hand with our GBL integration, but is also very handy for users, even if you don't use GBL, if you're not a veterinarian that's associated with GBL. It is still a very helpful feature, I think, for anyone managing horses.
And I like the way that you are reminding our users about the markings, because even in a few weeks, when we have the mobile app that we are starting now to work with the images integration, I see where you're going with this. So good catch. I like it, because when you have the mobile app and you have the pictures transferred from the mobile app, then your archive, your files are going to be, very easy to maintain in a on the move, on the go situation. So it's going to be streamlined a lot.
Definitely, yeah. So my last tip, really quick, is about the recurring module. And everybody uses this module, and I think sometimes it gets a little overlooked, especially the biggest difference between, Wise Option 5, Wise Option 6, in the recurring module is it's kind of gotten expanded from, it doesn't just do boarding now. It's taken, it's the reason why you changed name from boarding to recurring. I know that caused a little bit of confusion for across the board, myself included. But once you start kind of realizing, it really broadens your horizons to what this module can do for you. So other things besides boarding rates I found that also work really well with this is charging for things like daily supplements. or daily like maintenance medications, or horses are on, every 3 or 4 week injections for maintenance. This is a really great module that will just charge for it, just like it charges for board. You check a horse into a certain rate. With the reoccurring, you can choose. It's going to happen, every fourth Wednesday, and throughout that, every month when you charge for your board, you will charge for those, whether those events as well as you told the system that they will happen. So it's a really great way, again, for just that charging behind the scenes. You don't have to do anything. You just know that every second Wednesday for the past 20 years, this horse has gotten this injection and needs to continue to do so. And Wise Option will work for you behind the scenes to charge for that. And same thing like daily supplements as well. Even kind of thinking a little more outside the box, taking up to even like show fees, or even things like show board. I know some people charge differently when they take someone else's horse to a show. They're not being charged the training board rate at home. They're being charged a different rate. So add that different show fee rate, and you can change it per show, because obviously that changes too depending on where you go. Shavings get more expensive, feed gets more expensive, things change. So update the rate and just change the board rate from your normal training rate to the show fee rate, and then just change it back whenever you get home. And again, it's constantly being updated and creating those procedures and those horse files being ready to be billed at the end of the month.
Yes. I think that the recurring naming change was good, exactly to force people ask why. And here's the why you just explained. There's so much more that we can do besides board, And the nice thing also that I think on the recurring is that you can check the patient in under multiple rates. So if you have only for a few weeks for, let's say, for example, sales preparation, you can leave the regular board or supplement, just like you said. You would have the patient twice. Once is going to be throughout the month. The other one's going to be just for a few days.
Right.
Regumate is another place that people are using a lot to have a list. They charge daily. You don't have to worry about that. I love not forgetting that in the recurring, you can also use groups, because you can have different types and you can organize your lists. Ends up being, if you think about it, even as a second option for you to control your inventory of animals on site, because through groups you can distinct trainers from breeders from hospital, so you can have the different groups over there. And finally, my comment on the recurring is the handy thing that we received suggestions from our users to do massive check-ins and massive checkouts. That's a sweet thing. We also have, the when you check out, a bunch of reminders that like make for changing the status from active to inactive, or changing the location so you don't have that patient in that location anymore. And recently we even received some ideas for those massive things or reminders to be done on the check-in process, right? Can you remind me what it was? I remember it was something that came about the check-in. I think it was active, inactive, something about the active, inactive.
Yes, adding the active and inactive column to this module.
Exactly. So you can clearly see, and probably from there in this module, one thing that I would like to do is to have that column so you can easily catch the files that are still inactive, and probably with just a right click on that line, toggle between active and inactive. Good tip. Loved it.
Yes, definitely. Well, I think that kind of wraps up our Wise Tips for today. I know it was kind of long, but we had some really exciting announcements we wanted to share. So we thank you all for joining us, and hope you guys have a safe rest of your week. Like I said, tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be kind of back announcing the mobile app version 15's release as well, along with the announcement of when that webinar. We'd love to give you guys opinions and suggestions for text messages and Wise Option. And then, of course, on Thursday, please join us for our fifth installment of Wisecast, and we're so honored that Dr. Blodgett was able to take time out of his day and come talk with us on Thursday.
Yes. Please send us your suggestions, your requests, if you have topics that you'd like to see here in the Wise Tips. And I hope to see you again on our next installment.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.